Hi, everyone. I'm reading from my new book here. Brand new. It's hardcover. Beautiful. I'm reading from the introduction. Oh, the title of the book? Healing Touches. Gifts from the Great Physician. Healing Touches. And I read, is there such a thing as a healing touch? There is. But as usual, we look in the wrong places to find it. We look for it from other people, which is understandable, I suppose, because we tend to look for everything from others. When we were little kids, we were totally dependent on our parents, and this was good because it was so ordained by God. He's the one who invented the idea of parents and kids. He made it a great joy to have kids, but with the joy comes responsibility. They are dependent on us. But all along the way, kids have to start doing things for themselves. They have to take their first step. And no one can take it for them. They have to take that step themselves. Soon they are riding bikes, doing chores, going off to school, making their own friends. And the day comes when they move from home, get married, and soon they are parents themselves. Just as kids are lovingly and gently weaned from dependency on mom and dad, they must learn to stand on their own feet and be independent in as many ways as possible. To the extent that a person can earn a living, perhaps have their own business, follow their intuition and conscience to make good decisions, form their own opinions, and basically handle their own affairs, it is good. There comes a time when you have to outgrow all your childish dependencies and become self-reliant. We should not be dependent on comedians to make us laugh, on the government for food to eat, on pills to manage our moods, on someone to tell us right from wrong, or, for that matter, on another person to make us happy. All of this is to say that somewhere along the line, many of us faltered, lost confidence, succumbed to put down, or through false allegiance and insecurity became dependent on others to an excessive degree. The problem is that with each attachment to the world, lines of communication and links are formed that replace a healthy dependence on God. Soon you become almost totally outer-directed. You lose the independence from which you are free to search and reach within for intuitive answers from your Creator. The truly independent person is free of debilitating dependencies and false allegiances precisely because he or she is dependent on God. Such people stand tall before men, but are on their knees before God. Unfortunately, many of us continue to depend on others to an unhealthy degree. Sure, we can get and give a helping hand, but the help should be just enough to get a person on their feet and not so that they become forever dependent on it. True freedom requires a commitment to truth, a loyalty to God, and a willingness to risk alienation from others in order to champion truth and do what is right. But for most people, it's just too easy to look for some person, expert, institution, or government program to solve their issues. Nevertheless, we all get away with this for a while, as long as we are young and full of energy, and as long as things are going reasonably well. When some little issue comes up, we can always call a friend, borrow some money from someone, ask an expert, or search online. But when bigger issues arise, relationship, marriage, health, and spiritual issues, we begin to find out, usually the hard way, that no one has real answers, and eventually we discover we have nowhere to turn. To put it another way, nowhere to turn but God. For whatever ails you, you need the touch of God. He will heal your soul, make you whole, and dispel the darkness so that joy may return. He will restore the years the locusts have eaten and give you true hope. Just how he will do these wonderful things awaits your happy discovery as you see salvation implemented in your life. He will also restore your independence and give you understanding so that you may begin to see the wisdom of his ways and with confidence and courage lead a productive life according to his purposes and eventually find the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. God promised all of these blessings and many more, so many more that you will hardly have room to receive them all. God fulfills his promises, but remember that his promises mostly have an if clause associated with them. If you turn from your wicked ways, if you follow me, if you obey me, if you obey my commandments, and so on. So the coming of all the good things depends on your finding God, keeping in constant contact with him, and following what he inspires in your heart. The important thing is to re-find and sustain contact with him. And in his presence, find relief from your mental torments. He will give you the grace to stop worrying and complicating your issues. He will give you time, lots of time, to see your errors, sort things out, and write your course. It is God you need, his presence, his love, his involvements in your life, and his touch. All right, so I'm reading something from the introduction. That's only the introduction. So I think that if you have serious issues and you suspect that your issues have at the root of them a spiritual cause, and we know what that is, don't we? It's separation from God, separation from conscience, separation from intuition, and separation from his love. See that's what happened in the Garden of Eden. Adam became separated from God. And you know the rest of the story. Well, it happens to all of us. Now, we're born already somewhat separate, aren't we? We're born as little egos in a failing family, in a world that has mean and that has authorities without understanding. Let's put it that way. And our parents, undoubtedly, they did the best they could, but they too they too were separated from God. So the whole secret is to find. You have to search for God and then find him. Not in a book, not in a building, not in a person, but within. You need a touch of God. And that is what I'm dedicated to trying to help you to see and to find with all the things I do, all the books I write, all the radio programs I make, and with my little meditation or the little hand-warming exercise. I want you to be able to experience the touch of God. Now, the most wonderful first touch that you might experience is, and I've said this so many times, but I've given this illustration so many times. I'll give it again, though, because I like it. Because it makes the point clear. There was a man who was very angry. This is a true story, incidentally. Very angry. Angry at his parents, angry at the world, angry at himself, angry at everything. And he was driving one day, and somebody cut him off. And he became really angry. So he stepped on the gas, and he zoomed forward, and it was a city street that had, like 2 or 3 lanes. So he pulled up beside the car. There was a red light or something. He pulled up beside the car of the driver who had cut him off, and it was a lady. He rolled his window down, and he started yelling at her in a very mean way. And the lady's little daughter was sitting on the front seat. And the daughter looked at him and saw the meanness in his face and in his voice, and she began to cry. And when this man, he was a young man, when he saw the little girl cry, he was stricken. He pulled over to the side of the road and parked the car and sat there. And he began to sob, heaving little sobs, because he saw in the light of her face, he saw what he had become. He saw his own wrong, and he was sorry about what he saw about himself. And from that moment on, he began to change. No, not totally immediately, but that was the moment when he clearly saw his own wrong. He couldn't deny it, couldn't excuse it, and he was sorry. Well, you know what? How did he know? Why did he see his own wrong? He saw it in the inner light. He saw it in the light of conscience, which is from God. And that was the closest that he had been to God for a long, long time. And he experienced, you could call it the touch of God, but it was a healing touch for his soul. He saw, he was sorry about what he saw, and he had a change of heart. It was beautiful. That's an example. Some of you may have experienced the touch of God and you knew it, or maybe you didn't know it, but when you think back, you'll see. Maybe there was a close call. There was a bad person, or there was a near miss in the automobile, some kind of a close call. And somehow nothing happened. You were safe. The bad, dangerous person, the phone rang and the bad person answered the phone and went away. Or when the close call was just about there, you stopped for some reason. You don't even know why you stopped, and the danger went past and you were safe. Or you sat quietly and everything was gone. You see what I mean? And God somehow, himself, or maybe he had one of his angels, I don't know. But in some mysterious way, he made it happen that you were safe. Because it wasn't your time. He had plans for you. And the first thing that he wants for you, let's say he has plans for you. Then what's the first thing before any of the other good, wonderful things come to pass? What is the very first thing? You see in his light your own wrong. When you're resentful, when you're mean, when you're impatient, in yourself. You see it. That's the beginning. It's like a revelation. It's right. It's a revelation. Now, it's not a great big earth-shattering revelation. It's a very small, it's a private one. It's intimate. Nobody knows, but it's a revelation for you. No, it's not words. It's not a voice. It's not some prediction of the future. No, it's just you see your own wrong. You see it, and you're sorry about what you see. Seeing your own wrong is a revelation. The other thing, a lot of us have believed some lie. Some lie that was, somebody said it, and you picked it up hypnotically. Became a suggestion, a post-hypnotic suggestion. Or it was whispered in your mind. Some lie like, you're not good enough. What's the use? You know, it could even be a lie that you're too fat. You have some people, they're skinny, and they think that they're too heavy. See, it could be a lie that you have to be angry. If you're not angry, then you can't defend yourself, which is not true, because if you're not angry and you're close to God's light, then that strength, the strength that comes through that is your defense. It could be the lie that there is no God, or there's so many different lies. But often the lies are fine-tuned just for you. Something about you. Something like you have to have money to have a happy home, or if you have money, it'll bring only unhappiness. It could be a lie that you got to go along to get along, or it could be a lie that you got to grab for your own, grab for the gusto. Everybody gets theirs. If you don't go for it right now, then you'll miss out on this opportunity. It's just so many lies. A lie that you're not as good as they are, that you're not as, see what I mean? So many lies that whisper to your mind, and they what's the word I want? They oppress. They prevent you from moving forward and living your own life. So the revelation for you could be to clearly see that lie is a lie. See. Yeah, now sometimes something happens out in the world. You think somebody's really great, and then you find out that they're not great. You find out that they're a cheater or a liar or something. Well, okay, so that's also, it's not a revelation, but it's a wake-up call, isn't it? But still, you see in the light of truth what is true, and you don't doubt it. That's the secret. So do you understand then? You have to find the way where you can see in the light. If you're angry, if you're resentful, if you're bitter, if you're ambitious, if you're wrong and you don't want to admit you're wrong and you refuse to admit you're wrong, then you won't see the truth. And if you see it, it won't penetrate. And when you're all caught up in your thoughts, endless loop of thoughts and imagination and daydreaming, and see, when you're totally caught up in thoughts, then you also can't see the truth. All you see is those images in your mind and those thoughts that come, and a lot of those are just forms of temptation, trying to tempt you, trying to distract you, trying to lie to you, trying to comfort you, always trying to take you away from God. See, you have to find your Creator, and you'll find Him in those quiet moments. God said in the Old Testament, He said, "Be still and know that I am God." So What I try to help people do is to see that they need God, or need truth, or need to see clearly, or need to get out of their thoughts, or need to stop being upset all the time. You see that that's true, and then you think, okay, maybe I'll try the little meditation that Roland has, or that little hand-warming biofeedback exercise that he had. Maybe I'll try it, because it helps you to become still and receptive to God's light, receptive to his presence. So, made a little video here. Happy Thanksgiving, happy holidays, happy Christmas, which is coming soon. Merry Christmas. And I just wanted to read you a little bit from my book. It's actually a very good book. It's available in paperback, hardback, very handsome in hardback. It's a little bigger. And Kindle on Amazon. All you have to do is go to Amazon and type in Roland Trujillo, and then you'll find my author page or whatever, and then you can get the book, okay? All right.